It's our way of making sure people are still awake.
My favorite part.
And now what I consider to be the most important part of the bar mitzvah or bat mitzvah morning is the offering of the Torah that you have inside you as you educate us and share with us some of your Jewish learning now as an adult.
Okay. Shabbat Shalom.
Really slow. Be sincere.
Okay. Our Torah portion this Shabbat is Parshat Kedoshim. In this Parsha, we read about the rules God gives us to help us become a holy people and holy individuals. The laws cover everything from protecting God's name to know how farmers should harvest their crops. We also read about the guidelines that teach us how to be fair in judgments and how we should behave on a daily basis towards our fellow peoples. When we study this Parsha in depth, we learn that the laws of harvest teach us not only how to be good farmers, but they also teach us the principle of giving to those in need in a way that doesn't diminish their dignity. In Parshat Kedoshim, the farmers are prohibited from harvesting the corners of their field. They're also prohibited from gathering any crops or fruit that were left behind after the initial harvest, or that fell on the ground during harvest. The corners, passed over the passed over harvest, and the fallen produce are all left to be for the poor and to come and gather. We might wonder, why are farmers told not to harvest the corners of the field as opposed to, say, the center of the field? If a farmer were to leave a center unharvested, a poor person would have to cross all the way to the center before getting it, and it would likely be seen by other people. It would be a cause for embarrassment. Instead, the corners are left so that people who need can gather as they walk by. In the Babylonian Talmud, in Ketubot 67b, Mar Ukva, we read about a rabbi named Mar Ukva. Every day he would leave some coins behind a poor man's door. One day, the poor man wanted to know who had been leaving the coins for him. He went to his door and waited, watching. Ukva, who went that day with his wife, realized as he placed the coins he was being watched. Mar Ukva wanted to protect his anonymity, God,
It's okay, you get the point.
You got the point, okay. So that the poor person receiving the tzedakah would not feel embarrassed, degraded, or indebted. Rather than allowing themselves to be seen, Mar Ukva and his wife ran and hid in a hot furnace. The Talmud underscores the idea from Parshat Kedoshim that we should do everything in our power to avoid publicly embarrassing people in need. This principle is as central to us today as Jews as it was in the days of Mar Ukva and in the days of Parshat Kedoshim. As a human who is currently in middle school, I can relate to this whole concept. Every day in my school, at least dozens of people are intentionally embarrassed by classmates, rivals, and even friends. Kids make fun of each other for how they look, what they do, or for how they do it. Surviving middle school and high school is almost a rite of passage. Very few people remember these years, especially 7th and 8th grade, with fondness. Today's youth has especially a difficult time with public embarrassment because of unending harassment on social media. In the good old days, you could be tortured at school, but go home afterwards and forget about it. Now, after being tortured at school, you can go home, and the torture continues through Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat, Omegle, and dozens of other sites. We know the results. More students today are dealing with depression and anxiety than ever before. The Torah understands that embarrassing someone publicly is like shedding blood. The rabbis liken it to murder. It's no wonder why so many students feel like their embarrassments and their lives are torture beyond death. Despite all this darkness, there's light. First of all, most people grow up and stop embarrassing each other. Secondly, a lot of kids learn strength and learn to ignore it so they can move on with their lives and focus on what's important. That's why I value this idea from Torah. This week, we are reminded by God that part of being a good person is finding ways to help other people and not humiliate them. This principle relates to every aspect of our lives. Even the farmer has a way to be a more kind and sensitive farmer. Learning ways to think about being a better human being and a kinder adult is part of what I love about the bar mitzvah process. Today is about more than a party, and it's even about more than a service. Today marks the formal transition between being a child of Jewish people and taking my place as a religious and possibly even responsible adult. Becoming an adult in our Jewish world is something I take very seriously, and I hope to continue to grow as a good person as I grow as a Jew. Now that I'm legally responsible for my actions in the eyes of the Jewish community, I plan to continue with my abstaining from eating things of the piggish variety. And I may even dabble in other forms of kashrut at some point. Or not. As an adult, I also plan to take other obligations more seriously, including donating 10% of all the gifts I received today to the Jewish Big Pals of San Diego to support their program. Above all, as a Jewish adult, I plan to continue with my Jewish education, not only so that I can learn as much as possible, but also so I can be a knowledgeable and active member in our Jewish world. As a Jewish man, I have one other important responsibility, that's to offer words of gratitude in no specific order when I have been blessed. Ilana, thank you for teaching me all of the prayers I need to know and to lead services here. You made class fun with your system of shekels and rewards. Charles, thank you for being such a great tutor and mentor throughout the preparation process. I know I was your first full bar mitzvah student, but to me, you seemed like a well-experienced pro. You made the process easy and enjoyable with your really relaxed nature and your kindness. Becky, thank you for teaching me the Torah trope. You did an amazing job with keeping me focused and on top of my work, which is hard because I'm ADHD. Myrna, thank you for being with us this morning and making this service even better with your beautiful music. Thank you for helping me polish my Torah chanting and giving me great ideas for learning techniques that made everything easier. Rabbi Devorah, thank you for helping me prepare my Dvar Torah and for letting me be on Team Awesome. Represent? No? Yes? Okay, no, barely. You did. No. Your lessons always felt calm and easy. Sky, thank you for being my little monkey. I love doing anything and everything with you. Even though you can occasionally be a little nudnik, I know you learned it all from me. We always know how to make each other laugh and smile. I love you, Chuki. He's a little Chuki. I'm grateful that my 95-year young great-grandfather is here to help me celebrate, and I know my Saba and my Nana is watching over me today on my Saba's 1-year yard site. Grandma and Grandpa, you've always kept a Jewish house. If this family was a building, you'd be the foundation. Because you hold us all up. Grandma, whenever I need to buy something, you always find the best deal and more. Grandpa, I love watching old TV shows with you and being your reporter. You guys teach me something new almost every day. And for better or worse, I inherited you, Grandpa, your sense of humor. I love both of you, and I feel so fortunate to have you, not just as grandparents, but as people who are part of my everyday life. Mom, I love having you as my mom, much more than I would like having other people as my mom. You are kind, caring, and you make it comfortable to talk to you about anything. I love that you aren't harsh with punishments for most things. Not everything, but most things. I love your eye for color and how it helps make our world more bright, fun, and color coordinated. You've taught me the value of being kind to others and supporting people in need. You've also taught me what it means to be a generous person. Thank you for bringing me into this world and helping me find my way through it each and every day. I love you. Dad, I feel so blessed to have you as my dad because you make things fun and interesting. You are such a hard worker. You are creative, you're strong, and you're exceedingly logical. Between all of that and your incredible music talents, you are one great dad. You've taught me the importance of hard work, and you push me past my laziness, sometimes. You've taught me how to use logic to solve my problems and approach life. You've also shown me, by your own example, that there's always a way to find what's lost and fix what's broken. I hope one day I can be as good a father as you are. I love you. Thank you to all our family and friends who've come here this morning to celebrate this Shabbat this Simcha with us. A special thank you to all of our family who's traveled all the way from Israel, Kentucky, and all over California to be with us this weekend. May we all be inspired by this week's Parsha to find ways to help those in need without diminishing their dignity. Shabbat Shalom! Shabbat Shalom!
Oh, shit. Mazel tov. Oh, God. Simon tov, mazel tov, Simon tov, hey lanu. Hey lanu.
Stand and sing with us. L'chol Yisrael. Hey lanu, hey lanu. Shor. L'chol Yisrael. Hey lanu, lanu.
Keeping these.
L'chol Yisrael.
You can grab the candy if you want.
Ulecho Yisrael.